Hi everyone! Today I'd like to talk about a quick tip for fixing issues with wide paths in Open Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. If you like to design your parks for aesthetics, you've probably made paths that are 2 tiles or wider. Doing this used to be a huge issue in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1, since guests would quickly get lost and confused by so many intersections in the path. Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 fixed this by making guests ignore certain tiles in large areas, reducing the number of pathfinding decisions that peeps had to make. In OpenRCT 2, this system became even more robust when these ignored paths are more intelligently determined. However, this system isn't perfect, and sometimes issues with wide paths can still crop up. Fortunately, they're easy to fix, and OpenRCT 2 gives you the tools to do it. Note that, like anything that deals with OpenRCT 2 under the hood, peep pathfinding is subject to change, but the information in this video should be accurate as of July 2022. First, we need to enable the debug tools if you haven't already. Go to the Options menu, then the Advanced tab, then click on Enable Debugging Tools. You should now see a new menu in the toolbar when in a game. If we open that menu, then click Show Paint Debug window, we'll get a small palette of options in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Of course, we're interested in the top option, Show Wide Paths. When we click this button, some of our path will be lit up in white. Every white tile is a piece of path that is ignored by guests for pathfinding. Let's watch the tool in action. The easiest way to see it work is by starting with a blank map. I'll add some paths that are 3 tiles wide. Even though the debug tool is enabled, we don't see anything unusual yet. All of our paths still look normal. This is because the game will periodically recalculate wide paths, and since we've just placed these new paths, it hasn't done any calculations yet. Now, if we add some peeps to our map, they'll wander around chaotically. If we fast forward a bit, we'll see that after a while, the game runs path calculations. Now, most of our path is ignored, showing up in white, and almost all of our peeps are sticking to the non-ignored path as they wander around. If we add a shop next to one of the ignored tiles, the peeps won't walk near it until the new pathfinding is recalculated. We'll have to fast forward some more to see that happen. You can also see here a bunch of peeps getting stuck next to the shop before the paths are finally recalculated, after which point they can wander free and are allowed to return to the exit. Usually, the game is pretty good about figuring out which tiles should be used for pathfinding and which can be ignored. However, sometimes it's possible that the paths the game picks can still result in layouts that are confusing for peeps. For instance, if a peep is trying to reach the park exit in this situation, there may be a direct route over what looks like a large area path here by this monorail track, but the game has told peeps to ignore it, meaning that they have to walk in the opposite direction back towards the roller coaster to actually get to the path exit, towards the bottom left of the screen here. This can result in them getting lost. If you see problems like this with the wide path debug tool, it might work to temporarily delete and replace path, but it will be better in the long run to split up that path with some flower beds or other decorations. However, that still might not always solve your problems, as the new pathfinding is not always going to be optimal. You can see that in this example, even though the game recalculated a path around this flower bed, there is still an area path that is ignored by pathfinding between it and the path exit. So guests still have to walk in a large loop to actually get where they're going. But they probably won't realize this and will instead just get stuck. So you'll have to be very careful with designing your paths to work around this. Another issue that can happen is that some paths can be blocked that shouldn't be, for instance, ones that lead towards a ride or shop. Usually the game finds and fixes these without any issues, but it might miss some, especially if you do any extra path hacking. For instance, this path here is a queue for this roller coaster, but due to the wide path calculation, pathfinding ignores the tiles in front of the queue entrance, meaning that guests will rarely wander in front of the queue and get in line, and the guests who are trying to find the ride are lost. If I remove the wide path and wait for path recalculation, my issue will be fixed and guests will be able to find the coaster. But if I still want the path in front of the queue to look wide, I'll have to add some proxy path on top of the empty space to simulate it. If you want to learn more about proxy pathing, check out my video on using the tile inspector with paths. There's a link to it in the description below. And that's all for this quick video about the wide path debug tool. It can really get you out of a jam if you find yourself with stuck or lost guests. I hope this video was helpful and you learned something new. If there's anything else you'd like to see in the future, let me know in the comments.